Hi guys, today I'm recording with Dmytro Khmelenko, and if I describe any engineering traits that everybody have to work through, Dmytro is the guy with a huge level of discipline and perseverance, and I would love to explain later on why we've picked this actually as a main topic for today. How are you doing, Dmytro?
Thanks. I'm doing well. Thank you.
And just to kick it off, like we met a couple of years ago back at Freeletics, and the way I picking up companies, I always like try to align company goal with my personal goal, and with Freeletics it was like building daily healthy habits, and I look at you and everything you were doing, it was actually like every station in your career, and I just go through some big names like Freeletics, Shopify, Preplay. You always link the engineering excellence with also ability to be super disciplined. Like just a short story. Back at Freeletics, I was using your name as an example for our marketing team, how to do proper posting, how to trigger people, because like you were also super disciplined on making small engineering posts on LinkedIn, on Medium, about different topics. They were short, precise, tailored for a lot of basically for the broad audience. And uh, what is the story behind this discipline of making that habit of training your engineering muscle to share knowledge?
Um, okay, I think like here's a few different things that we can talk about. So one of them is like discipline, the like discipline that you mentioned, and I would like to say that it's not necessarily connected to engineering. It's rather like a skill that I believe like everyone can train. Um, and the other part is online engineering, knowledge sharing, especially like knowledge sharing in engineering field. And therefore, I could separate those two and talk more in details about each of them. So about like discipline, I was always impressed when someone is achieving like a lot in the same amount of time that everyone has. All of us has 24 hours, and we dedicate 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for work, and then still we have like other 8 hours. And I have few friends. Not only friends, also like I like to quote Bill Gates, where the person who's managing a lot of stuff in their life. They have kids, they have family, they definitely have a lot of responsibilities, and nevertheless, they still can achieve a lot in those like remaining times. So I was always impressed with that, and that's why I was also like striving. Okay, if they can do, I can do this as well. So here's where my striving for discipline got developed. Um, I've also like read multiple books about it. I tried different practices, and this is what helped me to at least to be on a level of discipline where I am now. And if we're talking about now more about knowledge sharing is something different. This is what I really enjoy doing because this is also like this is a skill that I developed back at Freeletics. I had like a couple of great managers that inspired me. That they were always saying like, yeah, if you know something, go and talk about this. There will be always in the room. There will be always somebody who knows your topic, and no matter what, they will either criticize it or will be feel bored. But even if this room, you'll still have like one or two person that will be using this information as a new that is for so just like go and share your knowledge, even if it's worth sharing just like with one or two person. It will already like significantly improve their lives. That's why I got inspired by this, and I've never been stopped by this. I had like other um, engineers who were always telling me like, oh, I'd like to also speak at conference, but I have no topic to present. And I was like giving examples like, look, you achieved this and that. They're like, yeah, but everyone knows about this. I told them don't know. You could share it. It definitely will be interesting for me to hear. So here, when it comes like to knowledge sharing, you shouldn't be limiting yourself. Every time I learn something new, I don't hesitate to share it with my colleagues. I know like some of them will tell me like, I knew it, that this is how it works. But so far, there was always at least one other person who would say like, wow, I learned this is definitely something new. Thanks for sharing. And this is what inspires me to keep doing this.
I think there was a quote somewhere that you truly master a skill if you're able to teach everyone around that skill. And although like we consider ourselves, some kind of expert in a certain field, but if you have to share that knowledge and then make other people be experts in this field, only then you truly become a master in that. So I think it's also like a really good practice to constantly repeat and repolish your knowledge by sharing this with others. And uh, you know talking about that, you've done something that I guess like most of my friends are constantly talking. As an engineer, you also want to build like a side gig, a side topic that could generate you some income, and at some point you could only focus on things that you want to do and don't like work 8 hours. And there are only two fields that we constantly talk about. Is basically write a book or create some kind of like online course. And you excel in both. So you have several books. I actually downloaded and bought some of your books on Amazon, and you've created one of the also like super successful courses on Udemy. I think I've checked yesterday. There was like almost 4.6 stars, and I don't know, 50 or 500 people. Like I don't know. It's like when I look at this, it looks like a pure success. So could you share a story about building a second leg as an educator or online influencer in this field?
Hmm. I, it's very nice to hear about those things as being considered a success, because I think even achieving them is also like big milestone. Um, it was a lot of effort, and I think like it also appeared to me in a similar manner, like you described, talking with friends, talking about this idea. So what can I do to reduce my working hours and dedicate some time to do more hiking, to do more cycling, to spend more time with friends, and so on and so forth. So you would like to cover this part. And few ideas. As you mentioned, it's writing a book and launching a course. I started initially with a course. This was a course about Git, Git for beginners, how to learn Git. It's relatively a short course, under 2 hours, where I try to explain what is Git and how like basic Git commands. And the second topic is a book. I have two books. I published two books on Amazon. One is about how to grow as an engineer from junior to senior, sharing again my advice from personal level, from personal life, from personal career. And the second one is a beginner guide about AWS services. I focus mostly on promoting like the first one because I got like many positive reviews about it. The way I came to it was also I was on vacation and met my friends, and this is where I spent some time to switch off and was just rethinking about everything I'm doing in my life. And then I met a friend there, which we didn't see each other for 10 years. And at some point we were sitting together and discussing, and she mentioned, you know what? I'm thinking about writing a book. And her profile is English, she's English teacher, and she developed a great course how to prepare for IELTS certificate. And she was thinking about like, what if I wrap everything in a book? This should be helpful for Ukrainian students. And at some point I was thinking, yes, but why I cannot make a book as well. It's a great idea. It shouldn't be difficult, and I wish I knew that it's not that easy. But why not? And this is how it all started. The approach I picked it. This is where I definitely can share this idea with someone who is simply writing a book. Don't start writing a book opening a Google Doc. This is what I also like open. You open a Google Doc, you see just empty sheets, and you are so demotivated to write. Even if you write 1 or 2 pages, next day you open, you see again, okay, it's only 2 pages. And the day after, you still again see 2 pages, 2 or 3 pages. So the progress is not visible. You get stuck easily. You lose motivation within a week, and this is where everyone stops writing a book. What I picked instead, I started writing small articles on a platform called Medium. Each article is about 3 to 5 minutes reading time. It's around like 1,000, I think like 1,000 words, up to 1,000 words. So you dedicate time to writing that article. To write that article takes, I don't know, maybe at the beginning it took for me like 4 to 5 hours, and I improved the skill and started taking like 3 hours. So you dedicate time to write complete piece from the beginning to the end, which some like limited story. It will be like a paragraph, something like this. Of course, your article might be not to 5 minutes, but for example, to 10 minutes. But still, you'll see your progress. It's a finished piece. You can publish it. You can get feedback on it. You can proofread it and validate if it sparks some joy in your readers. And over time, after you have this habit, for example, start having a habit like write 1 article per week. In the end, will be like 5 hours. And by the end of the week, you see this exact progress. A published article on your personal blog or wherever. And for example, in 2 months, it will be already 8 articles. If we assume that you write an article per week, in a month it's 4 articles. In 2 months, it's 8 articles. 8 articles, it's it will like around 8,000 words, and 8,000 words transform in around 20 to 30 pages of the book, which is already good progress. You still don't feel demotivated opening empty or almost empty Google Doc.
And Dmytro, but also to share on that edge, I think, well, your work, end-to-end delivered work, is only part of success. I think that beyond that, there is like enormous effort to actually manage that, make it visible on Amazon or any platform. Or not to be naive, please share, what does it actually mean to be successful in this publishing world, like Udemy or like online courses or Amazon? Or Amazon, when could people start living from that? Like, is that about audience, or there is like one hit, or how can one become as a story of like Harry Potter size? Maybe that's too big.
Yeah, Harry Potter's rather like I don't want to call it like random hit, but it just like shoot that succeeded. But I'm pretty sure there are plenty of talented writers who wrote something similar, but yeah, they simply didn't get lucky. So actually, all this side hustling, like creating a course or writing a book, it's definitely not that easy to get it on a level that you can start living from it. And it's mainly because in order to get to that level, you need to have an audience. So what I've seen many people are doing, they get their audience, for example, on Twitter, they get in a few 100,000 followers on Twitter. They keep attracting people to follow them, and at some point they just, oh, but here's a course. I made a course, guys. Go and check it out. Then in this approach, it's way easier. Once you have the audience who can discover you, who can discover all your work, it's way, way easier. I didn't have audience. I barely using Twitter, and for me it was a struggle because you know how it's always like you write in a book, and then once you finished writing the book, you put things together, you wrap it up, everything is ready to upload, and you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna upload it now, and tomorrow I wake up like maybe not a millionaire, but with a good amount of money that it starts generating. And it's kind of like disappointing to see that it's going to nowhere on the day after, and the day after, and this like literally nothing. The reason for it is no one knows about you. It's the same as you start selling something. Imagine you have some good product. For example, you want to sell apples. But if you don't showcase them, no one knows that you're selling apples, right? You want to put an ad somewhere, you want to be visible, people should see you. So this is what comes to online business as well. You need to start promoting yourself. You can go back to a platform like Twitter, get audience and start pushing more and more, like sharing some insights from your book. And suddenly people who are interested about all of this, you can share with them that you have a book that actually collects all your thoughts. You can start writing some posts on LinkedIn. But apart from this, you can also buy some ads. This is where I also like stepped into a field of online marketing. Because writing a book is just like half of the job. The other half is how you can promote it, how you get people know about it and ask them to buy, download. Because how often it's happening that you go to Amazon, you search for some book, you see the results, maybe like top 3, top 5 already satisfy your needs, and no one goes beyond the search results. So you need to have SEO optimization. You need to have proper marketing strategy, how to use some marketing platforms. I still didn't succeed in completely in those fields. I'm also still experimenting there, but at the same time, I already like definitely learned something, and this is also something what's kind of like interesting because being all the time locked in engineering and suddenly you start learning field of marketing, you never realize that it's not that easy, especially like in modern digital world.
You know, like when you're telling me this story, it reminds me of the story of all the great entrepreneurs out there. Your first startup might be a fail, your second, might be a little bit better, but every fail tells you how to do things better. And if I just, break it down to the uh, most simple concept, we should not believe in the power of network because people think, oh my God, I'm gonna publish a book on Amazon and tomorrow I'm gonna wake up as a millionaire. Or if my course is on Udemy, there is a network effect. Everybody will start learning how to use Git comments, but it's not gonna happen. It's basically there are so many components that plays towards success, which stay beyond just our core skills, and we have to constantly expand these skills. And my question is, because like apart from being an excellent engineer, you've start mastering so many other skills. So basically speaking, communication, marketing, online marketing, I mean any other stuff. How do you do that? Is that a matter of, again, discipline and perseverance, one small step at a time, or how do you lay down that path for self-educating yourself?
Mm-hmm. Mm. I think that all always came up somehow organically because every time I was trying something new, uh, I had to step into that field. For example, talking about online marketing, I simply had to do it because I wanted to promote my book. That's why I started playing around with all the different tools for online marketing. how ads are working actually on Twitter, how ads are working on Amazon. Then I was working with some freelancers who offering marketing promotion for your products. So those skills came organically. When it comes to other skills, for example, there's also other two skills that I'm pretty happy I got developed them. One of them is public speaking. So when I got inspired by a few managers at Freeletics about public speaking, I started preparing for different talks. I started applying for different conferences where I would be speaking. And that was like first initial step. But really great thing was that back then, Freeletics was offering public speaking training, and I did a couple of them. And those already gave me some good understanding how good presentation should be, like what failures to avoid, what to follow. So having this, basic insights about public speaking already gives you this good starting point. And then you need just because it's not enough to listen to the course. You need to practice it. You need to start applying those knowledge. When I started applying those, the result came out. I wouldn't say naturally, but it's a matter of practice. You acquired some knowledge and you start practicing it. Sometimes for some people are more talented that they can acquire those skills in one or two presentations. I definitely did a few presentations on different conferences in different countries, but I also spoke at local meetups, and this is what I think like is best if you're really thinking about presenting at some conference but you don't have confidence. Go and talk at your local meetup. People at local meetups, they really don't care much about your skills. Like for them, is more important information, and the audience is smaller. Like if you will be on a stage and in front of you will be like 10 to 20 person, it's way easier than when you're on a stage and you see like maybe 100 people. So that's one of the things that helps a lot. Like you get some training for some skills and then you practice. But there's also like some people didn't get opportunity to have training and they developed this public speaking skills. Luckily, there's plenty of information on YouTube where you can find all the tips and tricks how to make your speech like perfect or close to perfect. For example, the other skill that I personally developed is writing. I always also liked the people have they like engineers, some successful engineers, they have their engineering blog and they write in articles. And sometimes you read this piece and you think like, whoa, this is a really great article. And over time, I was like, yeah, but I can try doing this as well. My first few articles, maybe first 10 articles, they were not that inspiring, but over time you learn how to put things together, how to write things in a way that everyone understands. You learn how to deliver your thoughts in a concise way. And over time, I think it starts paying off because having the skill for writing things clearly, it helps in day-to-day work a lot. When you need to communicate with your teams in a manner that everyone understands it, but without writing 200 sentences, this skill is really necessary. So this skill was developed like solely by discipline. I really wanted to get better at it, and I started writing. Here I am.
You know, at some point I just stopped reading any news because it's all like mostly like a clickbait, and there is no content in reading those. And I totally switched to either posts from individuals like you do, or I'm subscribing to weekly newsletters from some individuals. like DHH, the founder of the Ruby, and he developed that skills exactly how you do it. He does it like in a very short, concise post. And I remember a couple of years ago, you would not understand what he wants from you. Like you would read it and you would see like that he's also struggling to formulate thought. But it became so clear that I'm actually like I'm reading his like weekly mailing posts, and I'm thinking, damn, this is like a great marketing channel. It's precise, it's understandable, it's appealing to the audience, and it delivers the message. So you always have this, like in the marketing, you have call to action. In writings is the same thing. You read a beautiful paragraph, and you want to apply, you want to do something. There is an extension of thought that you take from author and you want to apply to your life. And a little step back, what do you meditate?
Not on a regular basis, unfortunately. Not on a regular basis.
Do you work out every day?
I work out almost every day, I would say. Like so.
I'm asking this question because like I try every company I work for, I try to like build one habit, and so at Freeletics it was a daily healthy habits to work out every day and not to think about it. It's even a simple thing, and then it's basically out of your day routine, and it puts like little stone in your discipline basket. So I'm asked about meditation because I haven't mastered this skill. So I try, but my thoughts are always going away. And I always ask like, how do you do that? How do you like, what is your, and my question goes to every successful company that you've been, like every station along the way. What could you share? Like, I don't know, maybe like a few thoughts. What were you able to take from certain company? I don't know, maybe culture, maybe some mentoring, maybe some something that you remember and it's worth sharing.
Sure. I learned a lot in every company I worked for. And I'm really happy that I had an opportunity to collaborate with such great minds. And definitely I can share since every company I worked for. My career started at a really small company called Mobile Effort back in my hometown, Kharkiv. I joined the company in 2011, and I'm talking about like small company. It was around like 5 person, something like this. So really small, and it was doing outsourcing like business model where you write code for your clients and they receive the results as a code. And as a graduate from university, you have no idea how business world is working. And this is where I learned a lot of basics about engineering, but also where I learned a lot of like discipline, because the rule was that since it's outsourcing company, you need to report all your hours. And sometimes clients are reading all of those reports. For example, what you were doing for how much time you spent on certain things. And this is where you learn how to properly document all the hours you spent on work on certain tasks. For example, I had a report for every single day, split it by 1 or 2 hours sections, describing like what I did, how I spent this 1 hour, how I spent another 2 hours. So for a whole day, I had like a dedicated reports for 8 hours. So in then it was never a problem going back in the past, for example, 3 months ago, and saying exactly on what day, how much time I spent where. This was a great skill. At the beginning, it was stressful. Honestly, it was stressful because, again, as a graduate, you have no idea how things work, and sometimes people come in and start asking you a question. Whoa, but that report for a week ago, why you spend so much time, or maybe you can describe it, why it's like this, and you start a bit unconfident. You have no idea like what happened back then, but in the end you learn the skill how to describe things properly in a way that no one is questioning.
Dmytro, I'm laughing because I work and always with some multimodal companies. So we have engineers in-house and engineers that we outsource, but when you attend daily, everyone is joining, and for some reason, I was always like admiring the guys from outsource companies, how precise they are on explaining what I did yesterday, what I'm planning to do today. And when you're telling me this story, it was like kind of like, a rigorous discipline. Describe how many hours I spend on this. So it comes with ease to explain what I did yesterday and what I'm planning to do today. Now,
Exactly.
now I got it totally. Okay, but let's
Exactly.
let's move on. Yeah.
That's exactly like this business model of outsource company where you literally need to explain like what you did yesterday and what you plan to do today, and really precisely. Because if you stop describing precisely, your customers start thinking that you are cheating, you're not doing your work properly. But your best interest is actually like to retain the client. So this was a skill like was disciplined, was actually like build a great foundation. And then I moved to Cologne, Germany, and I joined another kind of a company. I would say it was a startup agency. So they had their own product development, but also at the same time they were uh, doing some services for other companies. So it was not outsourced, but it was rather just like agency. You build a product for another company that is asking for the company called Mobilab. And back then it was a smaller company. I joined was around like 10 person. So for me that was easy. Now I still in contact with them, and I really great. I'm really glad that we have good connections with them, and they already grew up to more than 100 people. So it's they started like really growing like crazy. And there I developed a skill because again I joined it as a beginning of the company, and sometimes I got assigned some products, some products at which I am responsible for developing. And this was a skill that you learn how to kind of like lead a product. You learn how to communicate with a customer. You learn how to explain things when and how certain things will be done. Because from engineering standpoint, you wrote a code, but now you need to explain to the customer what actually like, this feature is doing. So this is where this involvement into communication got developed. Then I moved to Munich to a company called Freeletics. This is where we met together. I spent there almost 6 years, and I really enjoyed like every single moment I've been there. That was amazing experience. I joined as an Android developer, and initially I learned just like improved my Android skills as a developer and so on and so forth. But later I developed like plenty of skills. First of them is establishing this habit of working out. Every time you live in an office, I'm not sure if you joined, probably you joined a company where we were already not in old office, but back in then, like,
We just moved.
yeah,
And I joined. Yeah, there was
yeah. So back then, like, there was like huge, like, old building, but on ground floor, there was a big training ground next to the kitchen, and there were also like some benches, meeting rooms, so people could work, but afterwards they could work out. And every time I was leaving my office and passing by this training ground, there were always some people training. And I think like for the first 2 years, I was just like ignoring it. Oh, people training, okay, so let them train. But then like I had another colleague who invited me, like, yeah, come to join with us. And we did a few trainings. I was like, wow, this is really cool. The atmosphere is nice, and the people are nice. You're training, and in the breaks you hang out with others. And then you come to the like everyone is just like talking about training, so it comes up that training, like working out, is becoming your daily habit, like brushing your teeth. You don't think about it. You don't make anything special of it. Of course, sometimes people were training for some particular goal, like doing a marathon. But overall, people are just like doing workout, 30, 40 minutes workout, taking shower and going back home. So it was literally like a habit, becoming like a habit. And at this point, I realized, okay, this is actually a really nice habit. You don't think much about working out, that you need to plan something or whatsoever. Then you don't need to. You're not limiting yourself. You don't have an excuse, something like, oh, but I don't have gym subscription. I don't have some specific equipment. It's not all limitations. There's like plenty of workouts you can do without gym. You can do at home. So it's kind of like a shift of mind where you realize that all the limitations. If you really want to achieve something, this is where you can start doing the progress. Just remove all the limitations only in head. So that helped me like to build a lot of those healthy habits. Then it comes also like to eating, because again, every time everyone is eating healthy, you see people eating yogurt, avocado, or some other healthy food. You start realizing, but it's actually tasty. It tastes really well, but at the same time, it's good for you. So it's also like it impacted in a good way.
You know what, Dmytro, I think that at the beginning I was thinking, oh my God, this culture at Freeletics is only limited to Freeletics itself, because you need to have a playground, the sport ground, you need to have a kitchen because you sell that product. But actually, when I left Freeletics, I realized that it's totally replicable. You could have any business, you could have any, I don't know, branch of product not related to sport. But what we had at Freeletics, we could totally do in every business. Like just, I don't know, throw a few sport equipment benches, throw a kitchen that is easy to access for everyone, and encourage people to, I don't know, work out together, make soups together. I don't know if you were part of this soups party or like food party where people were cooking during the lunchtime. I totally loved that. It was like one of these unique experiences that like everybody were assigned to a specific station, and then you come back home and you think, oh my God, this is a team spirit. This is all like, because you're telling the story, and I remember those days in the office, and I actually joined during COVID. I was pretty kind of lonely because not many people were doing this, and everyone were saying, hey, whatever you see now, it's totally not what we had before. Back in the days, there
Mm-hmm.
was, and
Yeah, exactly.
you just telling the story, yeah, yeah. What?
Exactly. I can only relate. Yes, and at Freeletics I also like get opportunity to switch from Android development to backend development. This is where I develop my skills about Ruby. And every time, so I still see myself every time I need to develop new skill, I always like think, "Ah, it will be easy. I finish a book, I do like 1 or 2 tutorials, and I accomplish it easily. But it ends up always like difficult. It's not that easy. It takes time. It takes practice. So I think like in around 3 to 4 months, I was in this transition period where I was writing features, slowly reviewing pull requests, people reviewing my pull requests. I got a mentor. She helped me a lot to grow as a backend developer. And then in 5 months, I was already like confidently contributing to the backend code. And this has also transformed me from one field to completely another field. That's why I'm happy I had this opportunity to do it like within Freeletics. And after Freeletics, my career journey moved to Shopify. So Shopify, it's completely something different. So it's a corporate like proper corporate world, because back then when I was joining, the company had around 14,000 employees. So this is like first significant difference. Well, Freeletics had like 150 employees. Here were like 14,000. It's 100 more times more. And second, it's a fully remote company, fully remote, with a vision that all the work can be done remote, and with a vision that here we're like a team. We're doing our job, but we are not family. Your family is at home. Do your job good, and go back to spend time with your family. And at Shopify, I learned like a few things. So first is for me was really a big discovery how certain things work on a scale. Because I can give like some small example. For example, imagine you have a database and you need to update some records, and because you're adding new column to a database, and if your database has I don't know, maybe like 10,000 records, 20,000 records. You think like, well, you write some script, you do it, and in some matter of time, it will be completed. Maybe even like 100 or 200,000 records. You still can do it. Probably even like up to 1 million, still can do it. Well, my task back then was update a table that had around like 10 billion records. And this is where I started getting problems. Like all the things that I knew was like, oh, but this actually like doesn't work. Here you get timeout. Here you have this error. Here you get this error. And at the same time, you realize that if you make a mistake, you corrupt like not 1 million records, but like 10 billion records, which is a lot of data. So this is where you start thinking like you turn on your mind, thinking in a different way on a bigger scale. Because every time you work with the data on a smaller scale, you simply don't see those problems. They all been eliminated by the low number of data. So that's why I simply don't see them. But once the number of data grows significantly, you start seeing like other problems. And now every time I still like work now I'm working like with a smaller data set, but it's always in my mind that this is kind of like potential problem.
But let me just pause here for a second, because I remember the same question when I was I had my technical interview for Freeletics, and one of the questions I had, imagine we're using Postgres. Postgres has a limitation of I guess 300,000 operations per second, and we sending marketing email, and then suddenly there is like 50 million people reading your email, and it is so catchy that people start exercising 50 million people at the same time. So you're creating like artificial DDoS attack on your database. So this is exactly what you describe with updating records with a multi-million or multi-billion pattern. And this is not programming anymore. This is system thinking. This is about like database architecture. So it again pushes you out of your comfort zone, because you've never learned that. You've never put this in practice when you develop your MVP as a junior, right?
Exactly. You think like, oh, but this is what, because all of those books they don't mention anything. Like, so the books I was reading about Ruby, because in Freeletics and at Shopify, they were using like Ruby on Rails as a platform. And you're reading those books and think like, okay, you have a database. This is your ORM, how to communicate with the database, no problem. And you start writing code and everything works perfectly. And suddenly, this case happening that you described, you send an email to all your users, and they started opening simultaneously the app. They're creating a DDoS attack. And exactly, you need to start thinking more about this system level. And probably exactly when COVID started, many people started using Freeletics, and this is where we started seeing this problem of scaling, where we started seeing those scalability issues. But that's those like, and coming back like to Shopify, this is exactly where you come from. Freeletics, where Freeletics was seeing those scalability issues time to time, Shopify was facing them permanently. They developed solutions for them, and then you see them and start thinking like, oh, so this is how they changed the thing. And probably this is exactly the reason why many companies adopting the system design interview, where they asking you, okay, let's design as a system that will be able to handle certain amount of requests and so on and so forth. And that's now you understand like where it originates from, because there are a few big companies in the world that facing those issues. Probably like there's no guarantee that the company you're joining will ever reach that level, but they want to see your ability to resolve those problems, to understand, to see problems and to propose solutions to those problems. And probably another skill that Shopify learned me is about like remote work. That everything can be done not everything. I wouldn't say like everything, but a lot of work in the digital world can be done remotely. And it's a matter of proper employees training and proper communication. They invest a lot of time and effort into developing those skills, because my onboarding was just 1 month. 1 month after, so I joined Shopify, and I spent 1 month not seeing even my team. I spent the 1 month just in cohort onboarding, understanding like the principles of the company, how to communicate efficiently, how to work efficiently, how to deliver results efficiently, and so on and so forth. And later after this month, you see like, well, that's true. Like if the entire corporation is able to, the company which is public, so Shopify is present on the market. You can buy Shopify stocks. If they're able to do all their work from home, then why many other companies, especially like smaller startups, cannot do? I'm talking about more like startups, 50 people, 100 people, like, or middle level companies. And this was also like big learning to me.
I think because the startups don't have that level of discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming back to the topic, because like in startups, you don't have the methodology, you don't have process established. Even onboarding always comes down to, I don't know, oh, okay, let's assign a new joiner to onboarding body and the problem is solved. And then you put the risk in one basket, because you don't know if onboarding body is good enough. If he's gonna actually, drag that employee towards the state where he's gonna be able to deliver. And in corporate, well, I guess like in Shopify, they learned all these mistakes by trying and doing. A lot of time they made mistakes, but eventually they iterate and made it better. And I guess it comes down again to our topic, discipline and perseverance.
Exactly. And
But
probably that's exactly like that, you see that those patterns that sometimes like companies where you get into a disciplined environment, and this disciplined environment starts to influence you a lot. So my first company, which I mentioned, where I was writing reports every day, like this developed this discipline, and then like Shopify developing disciplines that all the work can be done remotely and with a proper communication. Yeah, this impacts a lot everybody.
But after you left Shopify, I was thinking, oh my God, Dmytro could go anywhere. And a lot of our former colleagues from Freeletics, because Freeletics was like a really good launch pad for success stories. People were going to Meta, people were going to Shopify, Spotify, Google, like you name it, like all these like big stars. And I've been thinking, if Dmytro is going to go somewhere, it will be probably about online education, online knowledge sharing, and that's actually what brings you to the current.
Exactly.
Is it startup or like what?
So my current employer is a company called Preply. I think there's always like a problem how to properly spell it. So they spell it as a Preply. I forgot because it's actually like an abbreviation for something. But, yeah, I forgot already. But the proper pronunciation is Preply, because many people are saying it's Preply.
That's what I'm saying. Reply.
Exactly, but properly is Preply. And this is a platform that is building. That is connecting tutors and students to learn languages. So every time you want to learn a language, tools like Duolingo, go and you do some exercise and so on and so forth. But what many people are thinking, and what is beneficial for them, is to have a dedicated teacher. We human beings, we used to have an approach that there's like a person who's actually teaching us. And Preply is giving this opportunity to you to go and find a teacher with whom you'll be spending having like individual lessons. You go and find teacher which is like speaking the language. For example, if I want to learn Arabic, I can go to a platform, search for Arabic language, and seeing a list of native speakers. But those not only people, but they have like actually like a degree in teaching. They have either certification or they completed university, and they register on a platform. They put their price per hour, and then students go and do they like pick up a teacher that they like, register and start practicing exercising and learning a language. So this is what a platform is about. And I was using this platform even before joining the company. So the company is actually has Ukrainian roots. The founders are Ukrainian, and the company was initially based in Kyiv. But in 2019, I think they opened an office in Barcelona, and Barcelona is became like a headquarter for the companies. Many people are relocated to Barcelona. And I'm a kind of like a since again like I'm trying to be like on this discipline. I like the idea of writing New Year resolutions. So every year
I do it as well. I do it as well, by the way.
I'm writing like a New Year resolution every year. So I'm checking like what are my year results, and then like New Year resolution what I want to achieve. And one of the New Year resolution for 2022 was okay. I really want to 2023. Yeah, I really want to uh, have my Spanish skills improved. I learned back in 2016 Spanish a little bit in Volkshochschule, and I really liked it. The language is fun, the language is simple, and it's very popular in the world. And since then, there was always some excuse like not doing this. And this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use this platform. Even before I was working at Shopify, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use this platform. So I found a teacher. She is from Ecuador, and I started practicing my Spanish. And then I realized like, wow, this platform is really great because you can find the affordable private teacher that that has a own unique program that is teaching you. So, and then I realized that it's working well for me. And when I had to find my next professional challenge, I decided to apply to Preply, and this is how I ended up because you wrap it up properly that I like about everything connected to education, to self-improvement, knowledge sharing, and this ed tech sector, so to say, really sparked me. And I had, I think like this is a great opportunity for me to join the company. It would be like really great if we would work together. So
Dmytro, and how far are you are on your Spanish journey?
well, my teacher, she told me that my skill is around like between B1 and B2. So, and I've seen the result that, so since the company is in Barcelona, I was able to communicate with my Spanish colleagues during the lunch break, and I was able like to communicate easily, like in restaurants and shops, asking people something on the streets. So that helps a lot. But probably like I'm still not on the level, having a deep conversation about books or describing some article, talking about the political situation in the world in Spanish. But handling all the basic conversation about like, oh, this food is great, what they use, what they have, how people spend their time after work. Yeah, that we can do.
Yeah, I think the language must be fun before it becomes like efficient. If you develop the skill to use it with joy, then efficiency will follow. And Dmytro, to wrap it up, I would love to learn some of your thoughts about like the trends that we see right now. Like everyone is talking that AI is basically, especially when it comes to education, especially when it comes to programming, is going to be the technology that will totally change the landscape. So some of the questions that I have with my kids, is it even worthy learning programming, or better apply some kind of like generic skills and the programming is going to be done by machines? What do you think about that? Like because like you've laid a lot of groundwork for people to become an engineer, to propel themselves in different skills, and suddenly there is this like technology that is actually make it so much easier or so much lazier. So I don't even know like how to wrap my thoughts around that. So how do you see this?
I think so. Regarding AI, because AI is everywhere, everyone's just like talking AI, and plenty of companies got founded with AI. I believe that AI will not replace engineers in the nearest future. So at least in the following decade, it will not replace. But AI will be like a tool, like a powerful tool that helps a lot engineers to accomplish in a day in their lives. A great example is like calculator. Back then, then when accountants were counting everything like manually, and then calculator came, it's simply boosted their skills, and people were able to accomplish things more and faster. But it didn't eliminate the work of accountants. That's why I see like all this trend with AI. It will help a lot of engineers and other professions to achieve more results, better results. But it's a tool. It will not replace us completely. So that's why talking about like on this trend with AI. In my opinion, it's already kind of like stabilizing it because ChatGPT was something revolutionary. Probably we'll see a few more startups connected with AI, but yeah. So far it will be like a tool that we'll be using for next decade, and will be helping us. Probably another trend which I see is that the profession of software engineer, even though it's still in demand, it will not be as hot as it used to be, for example, in 2021. We've seen many companies did layoffs, many companies reducing their headcount. They really want to optimize their spendings, and they see that an engineer using AI can already do work. I wouldn't say like maybe for two engineers, but definitely like will be like one engineer plus 30%, something like this. That's why we'll see the trend is there will still a lot of positions if you want to step in into software engineer, but this profession will become similar to many other professions, like lawyers, for example. There will be always like a need for lawyers. You don't need millions of lawyers, but you always will need lawyers. So this is something what we are slowly coming towards software engineering. In my opinion, the market is getting slowly saturated with the amount of people, but there's also like plenty of jobs for everyone. If you would say what people should learn, I would also agree with you that it's better to develop generic skills and trying a bit of everything to understand how modern world is working, like trying writing, trying marketing, learning how to do programming. I think like learning programming, it's a part of a school program, and in my opinion, everyone should know how to write similar to Hello World in one of the programming language to understand what is actually like programming, to know this basic programming skills. I'm not talking about like building some website and so on, but just to understand like how programming is working, it's a nice skill. So after this, after you have like the whole set of all of those skills, basic skills, you can pick up and develop and start moving into direction you really want. So it might even end up like to being as an entrepreneur. That's my thoughts.
Well, it's a very great summary. I think with that note, we could conclude that one big lesson that I've taken talking to you is basically uh, success doesn't come overnight. You're never gonna be waking up and a millionaire, but discipline and perseverance could push this a ladder a lot shorter. And I would love to I would love to inspire people with your story, because like I believe that many of us look outside and see these successful names, successful brands, and you come from like simple environment. You've done you've done pretty much. You've eaten the dog food with all of us. Like you've started in the software um, agency back in Ukraine and develop towards actually a guy that could share that knowledge and make it so accessible and simple. And yeah, thanks a lot, Dmytro. And if you would like to share any of the books or any of your courses books, some discounts for um, pre-play. I keep saying pre-play. Pre-play. I'm
Properly.
I'm gonna put it in the description, and if you like listening to Dmytro, please subscribe, and there is gonna be more stories to follow. Thanks a lot, Dmytro.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.